morning, everyone. My name is Jennifer Pederson. I'm the Executive Director of Mass Waterworks Association. Our organization supports water professionals throughout the state, and it's great to be back where I grew up and where my career in water began, and to see so many of my friends from my days at LELWD. It's really a thrill for me to be here. So we're here today to celebrate the groundbreaking of the Whitcomb Ave treatment plant. This is a project that has been a long time coming for the water department and for the town, and so I want to congratulate you on getting to this point today. Littleton has a long history of water resource protection, beginning in the 1980s with implementing aggressive wellhead protection strategies and groundwater monitoring, to the 1990s when they started to embark on treatment to address water quality issues like iron and manganese, to now today where we're dealing with issues like PFAS. Littleton's not alone in their challenges with PFAS, but Littleton is ahead of the curve in getting to the point where permanent treatment will soon be a reality. This state-of-the-art plant will use biological filtration and granulated activated carbon to remove iron, manganese, and PFAS, and it will ensure that the residents and businesses in Littleton will have outstanding water quality for years to come. Now I'd like to introduce Jim Carr, Chair of the Board of Water Commissioners, to say a few words.
Thank you, Jen. Mother Nature also likes Littleton Water Department. What a beautiful day we have here today. I'd first like to thank Jen for being the MC of this event. We appreciate it. Thank you. I'd like to start off by thanking the residents of Littleton. Their overwhelming support for this treatment and their overwhelming support for this treatment plan. Any town meeting articles, and there were several of them in the past 3 years in regards to this plan, were passed in excess of 98% approval. So thank you to the townsfolk. I would also like to thank Senator Markey's Regional Director, Claire Telloni, for representing the senator at this event, and also Congresswoman Trahan's District Director, Emily Byrne, for representing the Congresswoman at this event. Thank you for coming. A big thank you goes out to Representative Jim Arcerio, as he sponsored legislation to make this project timely. He has been a strong advocate and supportive to LWD's mission. The Water Commissioners and the residents appreciate all that Jim has done for the town. Jim couldn't make it here today at a family engagement, so we thank him. I would also like to thank Senator Eldridge for his support, too. We also have Commissioner Suuberg from Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, and Kathleen Baskin, Assistant Commissioner, Bureau of Water Resources, who through their central region, and specifically Mary Jude Pigsley and her team, have been very supportive of the town of Littleton in this very important and necessary environmental project. Their technical expertise has been paramount in the success of this project, so DEP, thank you very much for your support. We also have members of the Select Board here, Chair DeCoste, Vice Chair Glavy, and members Joe Knox and Cindy Napoli. The Water Commissioners and the Select Board have worked hand in hand on this project from the start. So it's a great partnership, and we look forward to others also moving forward. Thank you. We have members of the Board of Health here. Mike Zeldin, Gino Fratelloni, Kevin Baker. The Board of Health supporting this project also. We appreciate that, so thank you. When Littleton Water Department initially proposed a treatment plant, it was to deal with the removal of iron and manganese. We subsequently had a lawsuit filed against the proposed plant. However, through LWD's due diligence and testing, PFAS was discovered. Although the lawsuit delayed the building of the original plant, in essence, it helped us as we're building a plant to deal with iron, manganese, and PFAS. So it just, you know, we're going to get the most out of our money and to deal with all the chemicals that we have to get out. As we can all attest, clean water is one of the most important natural resources And with this plant, we'll be able to ensure clean water to the residents of Littleton. I'd be remiss to say, or not to mention, that a good friend of mine, a member of this, lifelong member of this community, as I am, has a special day today. I'd like to have, where is Joe? Mr. Knox's birthday today. Happy birthday, Joe. And many, many more, buddy. Many, many more. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Now I'd like to invite Nick Lawler, General Manager of LELWD, up to say a few words.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Chairman Carr. Speeches aren't really my thing, so hopefully this goes all right. This is a remarkable day for the town of Littleton and the customers of the Littleton Water Department. It's an honor to be here this morning at the groundbreaking ceremony of the Whitcomb Ave treatment plant, a project that we're all very proud of. We've always taken seriously the safety and reliability of water supply for our residents. Littleton Water is a leader in source water protection and water quality monitoring. We are one of few water departments of this size with an in-house environmental analyst, Matt Silverman, who's in the crowd today. And I've never met anyone who takes us more seriously than Corey Godfrey, our new water superintendent. They care more about the water quality in this town than anyone I've ever met, and they should be commended for that. Littleton's water commitment to safety led to the proactive testing of the wells in 2019 for the presence of PFAS, a full year before Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection would require testing of all public water supplies. It was that testing that discovered levels of concern in the Spectacle Pond well. Because that well is along the border with air, where PFAS had been an issue, this result was a surprise, but not a shock. After confirming the test results, the team jumped into action with both short-term and long-term plans. In the short term, we stopped the use of the Spectacle Pond well as much as possible. And when we need it, we blend it now with water from Beaver Brook to bring the PFAS levels below the state's 20 parts per trillion limit. The long-term solutions bring us here today. With the full support of the Board of Water Commissioners, Littleton Select Board, Planning Board, Conservation Commission, Finance Committee, and Town Meeting, we're able to move forward with the construction of a water treatment plant to remove PFAS as well as iron and manganese from our water. I wish to thank the townspeople who came together to overwhelmingly support this project and understood the need to filter PFAS from the water. As Jen had mentioned, Littleton is not alone in facing this problem. Communities across the Commonwealth are discovering PFAS. However, we are among the first to tackle the issue with comprehensive plans, transparency, and openness. And this stems from the Board of Commissioners. They demand that out of staff, and something we're proud to take part in. With the construction of this plant, all of Littleton's public water supply will be treated before delivery to our customers. Something else that we should be proud of. We're dedicated to a safe and reliable supply today and into the future, and this plant is part of the infrastructure we need to achieve that goal. So now comes the time I get to thank some of the folks that helped us here today, some Jim had already mentioned. Quite frankly, this project doesn't happen without all of you that are here today. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the residents of Littleton. This project first made town meeting warrant May 7th, 2018. And 5 town meeting articles later, a home rule petition, and $30 million in borrowing authorizations, here we are. And as Jim had stated, those were overwhelmingly supported at town meeting. I've always been impressed with the commitment to the environment and clean water that our community continues to demonstrate. I'd like to thank you at the Littleton Water Department. From the Board of Commissioners to every employee, your commitment to our mission made it easier for us to stay the course on this bumpy ride. We're all sitting here today because of your commitment to the residents of Littleton. Anytime that I had a moment of weakness, and there were plenty on this project, more than I'd like to admit, your attitude and dedication gave me energy to persevere. Whether it was your commitment to supplying water in a time of drought with restricted sources due to PFAS, your customer service expertise in helping people not only understand what PFAS is, but also the impact these improvements have in a causing to customers' water bills. Or just your compassion and friendship that are helping us all get through this public health crisis. We thank the Baker Polito administration the Mass Department of Environmental Protection, our state legislative delegation, and many town officials that help support this effort. Commissioner Suuberg, I can't express enough how much a help the Central Regional Office was to our community. Littleton is only one of 77 communities served by Mary Jude Pigsley and her team, but we always got tremendous attention, support, and guidance from our team. When I talked to Mary Jude yesterday, she was excited to be here. It was maybe the first time in a long time we had positive news related to PFAS. And I'll never forget any of the conversations Mary Jude and I had, starting with the first one when we discovered PFAS. I was at Sesame Place with my 3 kids and wife. Wasn't much of a vacation, but those are the type of conversations that Mary Jude had that helped us with. She took part in technical conversations, a short-term solution, long-term solution. She was with us every step of the way. Her and her team. She's a fabulous team in the Central Region. Another area in which the Mass Department of Environmental Protection supported our community is through the State Revolving Fund, where they and the Mass Clean Water Trust provided an interest-free loan to the Water Department to complete this project, saving our residents over $3 million off the life of this loan. Vin Migucci, Jason Cuppy, and all you at LCTV, thank you. Whether it was legislative strategy, communicating with our residents, you all played a crucial role in getting our message out. And sometimes I thought Vin Migucci might have been my therapist. To our friends at Time Bond, Tom Mahana, Lou Sirocco, Derek Belanger, thank you. As a Littleton Water Department, we don't only have high expectations for ourselves, and I think Tom could probably attest to this, but we also have that same high expectation for the engineering firms that work with us. Our meetings at times become intense, but I know throughout the project, Time Bond supported our mission and cared about the health and well-being of our customers, the residents of Littleton, and we're mindful of the great impact this project has on those residents. Thank you to the general contractor, Winston Builders Corporation, Jeff Nyron, Dan McMillan, Nick Brecken, and Josh Lee, for not only this particular project, but also for the quality work, fast turnaround through the winter on our well replacement project that's across the street. Your commitment to completing that project before summer water demands became an issue was key to ensuring that we continue delivering drinking water to the residents of Littleton this past winter safely. And a final thank you to Albany's DNS, Alex Beal and Andrea Ciano, who are here. They get the less interesting part of the project. They're the ones out working out at night, installing 17,000 feet of water transmission main, bringing that contaminated water right to the site. Their efficient work, that's right, Andrea, efficient work, you're welcome. And they've been extremely willing to work with the town to minimize that impact and this very disruptive work can have on a community. Their work, along with the Littleton Police Department, who makes that work safe, have mostly done at night, further demonstrating the dedication that we all have for the mission of our department. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. And now I'd like to recognize Senator Jamie Eldridge, if you'd like to come up and say a few words.
So thank you so much, Jen. And as Nick said, I'm just looking out at so many key stakeholders that played such a key role in us coming together today for the groundbreaking for the Whitcomb Ave water treatment facility. And I want to thank each and every person's involvement. This was quite a complex, difficult process, but really proud that we're here. And not to be too dramatic, but access to water. If you don't have water, you don't have life. If you think about each and every one of us as a resident in our homes, if we don't have access to water, if there's even a delay of an hour or two of having clean tap water or water to use, it becomes a very, very serious problem for our lives. So it's so critical, the federal, state, and local investments in water infrastructure and making sure to deliver clean water. And as Jim Carr highlighted, the more sort of timeline process for getting to this day at a time when federal, state government, environmental advocates were revealing the fact that PFAS was in many water sources across the state, many household products, and we needed to have federal and state action to put limits and regulations around that. That timeline matched up with making sure that this new water treatment plant not only addressed manganese and other minerals, but also made sure, as Nick highlighted, that the delivery of clean water to every single Littleton resident will also be removed from PFAS. So I just want to thank Nick Lawler. We've had a very close working relationship, very big shoes to fill with Savos Danos, continuing after Savos, and he's just done an amazing job, not just on the water infrastructure piece, but we work together on solar construction, making sure that we protect our open space, including in the legislation that Representative Arciero we're proud to shepherd through. And so I just want to thank Nick for his leadership and just being so focused on every possible detail. I want to thank the Littleton Water District Board of Commissioners, extremely dedicated to making sure that every single resident has access to clean water. And Representative Arciero, of course, couldn't be here due to a family obligation today, but I really want to emphasize that we worked very closely together on the legislation that will allow for this water treatment facility to be built here, and again to protect about 2.5 acres of open space in Littleton, because obviously if we don't protect open space, especially as we're seeing more development in communities throughout Metro West, then it's harder to protect the quality of the water that comes from the ground. I also just want to recognize someone, a former colleague and someone now working, I understand, on water infrastructure on the attorney side, former State Representative Hank Nodden. So Hank, good to see you, and thanks so much for being here. Great to see you. In terms of our federal partners, I want to thank Claire Tyluni representing Senator Markey, and Emily Byrne representing Congresswoman Trahan, and of course Senator Warren as well. And I'm sure most people here are aware, but that 0% state revolving fund, those are federal funds that flow through the state, through the Clean Water Trust, to make sure that these kind of projects are possible, especially in smaller communities. So I want to thank our federal partners. And with respect to at the state level, MassDEP, Commissioner Suuberg and I have worked very closely together on a whole host of water issues, including during my time as co-chairing the Water Infrastructure Finance Commission, which called out for separate revenue sources for water infrastructure because it's so hard for individual communities to finance this. But I really want to thank Commissioner Suuberg for stepping up for regulating PFAS, for the extra support once PFAS was found in so many water systems, to step up with additional state funding through the Clean Water Trust and the state revolving funds. So thank you so much for your leadership. I see Mary Jude Pigsley here. We work very closely together on many PFAS issues throughout my Senate district. And I finally just want to thank the Littleton residents, a community that cares deeply about its open space, about environmental protection, about water issues, and each one of those issues is deeply connected. So thank you so much for your partnership. Very proud to represent Littleton, and this is a really exciting and proud day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator. And now I'd like to introduce MassDEP Commissioner Martin Suuberg to give some remarks.
Thank you very much. I am delighted to be here. And first, I want to express my own appreciation. It's great to have an event. It's great to have an event in person. We're all getting to that point, so it's nice to be able to see friends. And I'll echo the chairman's comments that the sun is shining on this project in more ways than one, so nicely planned. I am delighted also that we're here with Jen Pederson of the Mass Waterworks Association. Jen has been, and her group have been, an invaluable partner as we've gone through the past 18 months of COVID. It was a very uncertain time as we were going into this. Water systems had a lot of questions, a lot of issues, and Jen was really front and center in arranging for a while it was weekly calls with DEP and EPA to make sure all the issues that systems were confronting, to make sure that they could provide safe water even during an emergency situation like this, were met, and it was a lot of coordination. We like it so much, we're not doing it weekly anymore, but we're doing it quarterly. And we feel like it's a good thing to do on the issues we see eye to eye on. Some maybe we have a little different view on, but the idea of talking regularly has been an absolute essential. Senator Eldridge, as he noted, we've done so much work together in regional projects. I can think back now over almost 10, 15 years of regional projects, as well as your work on infrastructure and funding. We appreciate the partnership. It's great to see former Representative Naughton, who was such an advocate for his community on so many water issues. And I just also want to acknowledge the work of Representative Arcero in terms of working with DEP as Littleton moved forward with identifying this issue and then identifying strategies and making sure it had the support to address those strategies. So today we're here to celebrate a project, and I think we're also here to celebrate timely action, and I think we're here to celebrate partnership. It doesn't take a lot of Googling or looking on websites to see that PFAS, the so-called forever chemicals, are becoming a big issue. They already are a big issue. This week I was part of the task force led by Representative Kate Hogan and Senator Sear at the state level, looking into the various facets of PFAS and work that we may need to be doing together collectively. We're aware that on the federal level, the federal administration is looking at regulating PFAS in water, looking at the use of PFAS in chemicals and products, and so it will continue to be an active and lively area. We were delighted on behalf of the Baker-Polito administration and DEP that we have been able to work with a community that identified this issue early. As the chairman and Nick noted, you did your sampling before the regulations were even required. You did your work early to see whether or not there was an issue here. And that timely action allowed you to move forward with a plan. And obviously, Nick was understating it a bit by saying that when he got the news while he was on vacation, that was probably a very, to put it mildly, memorable moment for you, and probably somewhat changed the course of that vacation. Because with that discovery, Littleton went to work. They went to work with us on public education. How do we talk to the public about this? They went to work on short-term solutions and on long-term solutions. And the long-term, part of the long-term solution is here today in front of us, what we're celebrating, this treatment plan. You were proactive. You engaged with us regularly. I cannot tell you how the number of reports I got from Mary Jude Pigsley about your work, about the coordination. It was a real partnership, and it needed to be, as several of our speakers have noted. Big problems require partnerships between federal, state, local, citizens, and Littleton engaged in that partnership. We are checking for PFAS around the state. As I noted, Littleton is checking early. We're about halfway through having systems test all across the Commonwealth. Over 1,600 systems will be doing testing between now and next year at this time. We will continue as DEP to work with communities not only on testing, but if there are issues, to work on identifying the solutions to those issues, working with communities to make sure that we have a good path forward. We were delighted this year on Earth Day to announce over $819 million in state revolving fund funding. About $200 million of that went to drinking water projects. The rest went to clean water projects. Again, we have been able, working with our partners in the Treasurer's Office and the Clean Water Trust, to identify zero-interest loan options for communities dealing with PFAS. We've had our own grant programs. We're trying to help communities pay for one round of testing. We've had design grants, which I believe Littleton was able to take advantage of. And we will continue to make sure that we are talking with communities as we move forward and as we make sure that we are eliminating PFAS exposure from water systems. So I finally just wanted to do two things. First of all, I did want to acknowledge again the tremendous work of our central region. You've heard a lot about it. It can't be said enough. Mary Jude Pigsley, Weah Liang, Margot Weber, who announced this is her third trip, I think, in a few months to this particular site, to this particular system. A great friendship, a great collegial partnership developing. Kathy Baskin, our assistant commissioner, who worked so hard on developing the standards that we are now implementing. And then once again, to reiterate that we are working in partnership. Big problems, important environmental and public health problems require partnership. And so we look forward not only to our continued work with Littleton, but with all the communities across the Commonwealth as they seek to provide safe drinking water for all their citizens. Once again, congratulations to Littleton. It's a great day, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you for recognizing the extraordinary work of our water departments during COVID. It has been a challenging 18 months, and so we appreciate your partnership and your support on that. And now with that, I'd like to invite Sarah's going to help coordinate photos so that we can get to the actual groundbreaking part of our ceremony.
Ready? Everybody got a shovel ball in there? I can run. 3, 2, 1, pause.
You want take?
Third. 3, 2, 1, toss. Zeldin, you're ready. In 3, 2, 1, throw. Okay, in 3, 2, 1, toss. Hey. Okay, ready? In 3, 2, 1, pause.
Thank you all for attending, and thanks again to everyone for their support of this project.